Well, committee, I think we'll go ahead and get started. I was waiting to see Deanne Williams show up on my participant list, but when you look at the screen, she's there with David. So that'll work. Well, committee, we do have several different presentations being presented or being requested of the committee. What I'm thinking about doing is holding those on Mondays. That way, if you want to just jump in on WebEx, you can listen to them and see the recording, and those of us that can be here can be here. With that, we'll go ahead and turn our attention today to the Department of Revenue, and we have tried to schedule this presentation the last couple of years multiple times. We have been taken out by weather. We've been taken out by security issues, and hopefully today it's going to work. So with that, I'll turn it over to David now that the screen went blank.
Good morning. Yeah, this is David Harper, Director for the Division of Vehicles. Yeah, we just have gathered with me in the room. I have Deanne Williams, who's the Deputy Director, and Deanne and I will share the majority of the presentation today. And in the background, we have a few of our experts. We have Kent Selk, who's manager of our driver's license services, runs all the driver's licenses across the state. We have Jessica Tyson, who works in the director's office with Deanne and I, and Jesse be a great contact for any of you that need to reach someone in the Division of Vehicles and not sure who to reach out to. I'd suggest you start with her, and she can get you to the right person if she doesn't have the answer. And then Lacey Black is with us, who is our manager of our driver solutions team. So I'm going to go ahead and share the presentation I believe you have in front of you, so we can walk through that together. That's showing up okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, on our first slide in, just a little bit of an overview of the makeup of the division. For Division Vehicles, we have 361 total employees, and that's separated down into five different sections. We have our administrative section, our director's office, which is Deanne, myself, and Jessica. Then we have two smaller groups. One's our quality assurance team. This is a team of 5 people that really has really taken off in the past year. Their main task is they do audits, reviews of both our driver's license office work as well as the treasurer's office, and give feedback to both offices to help improve our performance and the services we provide to the public. We have a new manager there, Belinda Sanders, who came aboard late summer, early fall, and has done a great job, and we're really excited about the improvement we made in that area. The other area we have now is training services, which is just a 4-person team. They used to be part of the ks.gov Learning Center team, but last year they moved under us, and it was a very good move, especially with what happened with COVID and people not being able to come into the office for training. So they have really worked hard to develop some virtual classes. They're responsible not only for training our staff, but they also train the county treasurers and in both vehicle services and driver's license services. Then our big group is our vehicle services, and that's Leanne Phelps' team. That's about 12% of our staff, and they work with the treasurers very closely on vehicle registrations, plates, placards. They work with the automobile dealers. Leanne does a great job running that team. Then we have Lacey Black's driver solutions team, which makes up about 10% of our staff. And primarily they're what we call our call center here in Topeka in our back office, and they work with people to help remove infractions or help get people legally back on the road when that time's come. And then Kent Selk runs our biggest section, which is our driver services, and that includes all our offices across the state and makes up about 70% of our total staff. There's a way to full screen that. Okay. A lot of our talk today is going to be our review of last year. Is going to be a reaction to what happened to COVID-19. Same as everyone else probably across the state. When about a year ago now, I guess, it was around March 12th, I think, when everything started happening. We shut down for a couple of weeks, and the majority of our Topeka office staff has now been relocated to home-based offices. And that actually took place in the spring last year. It happened, to me, amazingly quickly, with thanks to the support of our IT team and of our managers. But now on a daily basis, about 2/3 of our Topeka staff are working from home. The good thing is we never had interruption beyond a couple of weeks of the phone services that we provided to customers, as well as the treasurer's office. And actually, as we've continued to monitor phone numbers since we moved home, a lot of those numbers, as far as customer support, have actually improved. As you can imagine, the greatest impact was on our driver's license offices. About a year ago, our CDL services, we did go 3 weeks without transactions, but CDL offices were the first ones to reopen. And we started off with a limited basis, focusing on the custom harvesters before expanding to all our normal CDL offices. But I think Kansas did some interesting things to help service those customers as quick as we could. Our driver's CDL manager, he implemented a process where we had chase vehicles or follow vehicles. So instead of having to put our tester in the cab with the driver, they followed behind in another vehicle and communicated through radio or cell phone with the second party in that cab. And that was actually a process that a number of other states actually picked up on and was very successful. But this year we're in a much better position. Kent and Brian Brunt with our CDL team, they've already reached out to the custom harvesters. They're already scheduling appointments for them to get in this year. And all our CDL offices are up and going. For our DL offices, some of those were closed up to 9 weeks, and we began reopening those back in May. Since that time, we've had now 26 temporary closings of 18 offices related to COVID, and this has occurred when one of our employees has tested positive for COVID, and our practice has been to immediately shut down the office. We bring someone in, we bring a company in, specializes in the cleaning process, and do a deep clean of that office, follow the close contact protocol, and then reopen as soon as we can. Typically, we're back open within a day or two. During that time we were closed, obviously, we encountered a backlog of mainly driver's license renewals, and that's something we'll talk a little bit more in detail about later. But we were able to, I think, keep up with contacts, with helping with people with driver solutions issues. We created a separate email that people use, and I think we had over 500 emails of drivers that took advantage of that. So we did what we could to remain in contact with drivers. This page is just some general numbers to give you an idea of the type of volume of work we do. And I won't read the numbers to you, but I think you can see these are line by line, a comparison of 2019 to 2020. And I think as you glance through the different headers, you can see it's pretty consistently just a drop off in the number of transactions, as you would expect last year compared to the prior year. Would point out the upper left on the first 2 rows, driver's license renewals in 2019, driver's license renewals in 2020. That's been our biggest challenge. Driver's license renewals make up about 40% of our transactions in our driver's license offices across the state. So those numbers dropped, obviously have caused a backlog, and if you do the math there, that number is 54,131 difference between 2019 and 2020, and that's a number that we are going to have to catch up with in the next few months. Below it just shows you, just illustrates for you the total transactions we've done beginning back in January of 19 through the end of 2020. And these represent transactions for all offices, both the state offices and also the county treasurer's offices for who offer driver's license services. So we have 38 state-run offices. There's 79 counties who offer limited driver's license services, but 90% of the transactions are done in our 38 state offices. So you can see the significant impact back in April, May, and then starting to climb back, and now getting closer to numbers for pre-COVID years. As I mentioned, renewals are our biggest demand on our resources. The number that's shared there at the bottom, since March 12th of 2020, we've had 55,664 licenses which have expired, which have yet to be renewed. So when you add those on to the normal renewals will be coming due in March, April, May, June, that puts us at a total of 146,000 driver's license renewals potentially needing to be processed in our offices by the end of the proposed extension through June 30th for renewals. And doing the math, if you look back at our average numbers in 2019, we averaged about 34,000 renewals per month. We dipped to 24,000 in 2020, but we need to be at that 2019 average of 34,000 a month for the next few months in order to successfully catch up with the backlog of driver's license renewals. There is in place an executive order 2070, and this extended the renewals, everyone who expired from March 20th through June 30th, March 20th, March 12th of 2020 through June 30th of 2021 have up to June 30th of 2021 to renew. And we also added this exact same language, or you've added that exact same language and approved that in Senate Bill 127. Senate Bill 127, which came out of your committee. This exact provision was added, giving drivers through June 30th of 2021 the opportunity to legally renew their driver's licenses. Did want to mention that even though we're very concerned in the numbers, and that's been an emphasis of ours is catching up on the numbers, that safety from the get-go has been the priority of administration, definitely Secretary Burkhart's priority for us, and our priority for our staff was making sure our examiners were safe and making sure that the public who came into our offices were safe. We've done a lot of things in the driver's license offices, and if you walked in an office a year ago and walked back in that same office today, it would look tremendously different than what you saw 1 year ago. Chairs are spread out. We're practicing social distancing. We purchased and installed plexiglass dividers set up between our examiners and the customers that come in to help with that protection. We require staff to undergo daily COVID-19 symptoms testings, which includes temperature test. Masks are required. We adhere to the 6 feet of separation, and we're also strongly encourage all customers to schedule appointments to come into our offices. And while we will accommodate people who walk in without an appointment as best we can, that's going to depend on the number of people that are ahead of them in the office and whether we can continue to adhere to the social distancing. But the appointments have been a lifesaver for us and very beneficial for us. The other thing, the large concern of ours, which, as you can imagine, was our examiners who had to go out in the vehicles and do drive tests. So we did delay those for a longer period of time. Even after our offices reopened, we delayed the drive test, but those are going now, and we provide our examiners with masks, gloves, the PPE, seat covers, everything we think that, taking all the steps that we think we can. So that has been a priority of ours and will remain a priority of ours to keep our people safe. I mentioned the appointments, and it really turned out to be a very positive thing for us that back in 2019, Kent and his team started looking at appointments in our offices, and we started with a pilot here in the Topeka offices, and then rolled that out to our 11 largest offices across the state. So on this list you have in front of you, the one I would add under Wichita, there's also a Wichita West location now. These are our 11 biggest offices. They account for 70% of our transactions across the state every year, and all of these have online appointments available. Again, no one knew COVID was coming, but having this in place was a huge factor for us. And as we've been on calls with other states throughout the recent months, you can hear that a lot of the states are going to this, but they're playing catch up as to where we were ahead of the game. So compliments to our team for forward thinking and getting this going. We are in our last year of our current contract with our vendor who provides us online service, and we do have an active RFP has been released now to look at new vendors, new possibilities for appointment systems going forward, with our goal to have this online system available in not all our offices, but the majority of our offices. At the very least, adding probably up 14 to 16 of our mid-size offices to the current 11. This is just a list for your references of our current offices and the appointment method for people wanting to schedule an appointment. The ones that do not have the online system, they can call to the office and schedule an appointment. We do have one office closed. You can see there now due to COVID, and it's just strictly a staffing issue. We went there. We weren't there 5 days a week. We were there a couple of days a week. And with COVID and limitations on travel, we didn't have the staff to continue to make that travel. But the rest of the offices are open. And also let you know, for a while we were heavy backlog on getting appointments, but when I go online and look at our largest offices now, drivers can schedule an appointment within a few days of the time they go to our site. So we're caught up and ready to take those customers and help them get caught up on their renewals. This is just our stats for your reference on our wait line system. And since we went to appointments, we have several years in here, but bottom line is with appointments, on average, in our 11 largest offices, customer from the time they walk in the door, talk to our greeter at the front counter, are seen by our examiner, complete their transaction, are out the door. Right now, we're around 20 minutes. 20 to 24 minutes is that average time for a driver's license renewal. Clearly, if they have to do a drive test, there's going to be a longer time there. But for our straight renewals, we've got our transaction time down to around 20 minutes, which has been our goal and something we want to continue. But I think we're proud of the fact that the horror stories of going to the DMV, we're hoping those are going away in Kansas. People are able to get in and out of our offices in a timely manner. Real ID, when we talked to you a year ago, Chairman, probably the last 2 years, the Real ID was a huge emphasis, and it still is, but obviously it got overlooked by COVID a bit, overshadowed by COVID a bit. The Homeland Security, they did extend the deadline for Real ID to October 1st of 2021. So it was originally supposed to go live 2020. But you do have another year now to obtain that Real ID. Again, reminder for you and anyone listening, you do not have to obtain the Real ID to have a valid driver's license for driver's purposes. The Real ID, again, is what will be required as ID to board an airplane or enter a federal facility. Otherwise, your standard driver's license works just fine and is legal for a form of ID and for driving purposes. I will point out to you the bottom row there under 1/1/2021. You can see that 54.3% of the Kansas drivers now hold a Real ID credential. This would be an ID or a driver's license. We were on a call with Department of Homeland Security 2 weeks ago, and they reported the national average is right around 43%. So Kansas is in good shape compared to the national average. And if you go clear out to the far right-hand column to see 74%, 73.8% of our total drivers or ID holders have been in our office since we started issuing the real ID and have either obtained the ID or for whatever the real ID or for whatever reason have declined not to and just gone with the standard ID. So we're hearing 3/4 of our drivers have had the opportunity to get the real IDs. We think we're in good shape and don't see any major issues coming in Kansas on meeting the demand for the real ID by October of 2021. Another little project just wanted to share with you. We've been trying to come up with ideas how we can do things outside of our normal office operation. One thing we've done on the driver's license side is we've partnered with AAA to offer driver's license renewals in their offices. So right now we're just set up 2 days a week in the Lawrence AAA office, and I believe it's called the Wichita West AAA office, where we send in an examiner and we have a mobile driver's license equipment, and they go in there and set up and take appointments for those 2 days a week, and drivers in those areas can go to those locations and renew their license and receive the same renewal services they receive in our offices. So it's a pilot project with AAA. If it's successful, we would look to go out to an RFP and open that up to other offices that may be interested in that type of partnership. On the numbers here, you'd see below it says 203 since November. It looks like now about 395 drivers have been serviced in those AAA offices. On this slide, this is dealing with our online driver's license renewals. And as you recall, there's also a bill in front of you this year that you supported and passed out that would extend the age to 21 to under 65, but to obtain a renewal. But this is something, honestly, we just really need, we're striving to continue to improve on. The number taking advantage of online renewals is only about 5% of our total renewals right now. So if we can get that number up here in the next few months, that's going to be key for us and big for us in meeting the demand of renewals that are coming due. We do this through the ICANN platform. So there's ICANN app that people can download and do not only their driver's license renewal, they can also renew their vehicles every year through that same process. There was a small, I believe, $2 service fee that was charged, and that fee's been waived on the driver's license side through this COVID renewal period. But we've worked with a pay it company who runs ICANN. They've been a good partner for us promoting this, but we look for your help too with if you ever need some information for newsletters to go out, and we encourage you to share information on the online renewals with your constituents to help people more people take advantage of that. And also just want to mention, finally, last year and the year before we talked to you, we had a large driver's license office refresh project going where it became apparent to us about 3 years ago when we went out and toured offices as this leadership team came into play, and how outdated our offices were and how inefficient they were. So this is a list of offices we have been able to upgrade or move to new locations since in the past 3 years. The biggest one for those of you from the Wichita area, around July 4th of last year, we added what's called a Wichita West driver's license office. So now in Wichita we have two full service offices, which was needed. It's really taken the demand and decreased the wait times in Wichita, and it's been a success. We're talking to Kent and our manager down there that new office is ready to take more. So again, we need to work to promote that office and make sure people are aware that it exists now. I think our upcoming ones for this year right now on our list, and this for Senator Bowers particularly, is our Concordia. We just recently signed an agreement with for a new location there, and I think the remodel and all is fairly well done, completed. I think we're waiting on some cable and the IT work, but here in the near future, we'll be having a grand opening at a new Concordia office, and we hope Senator Bowers and others be able to join us there. So we'll be proud to have that office up and going. So with that, we'll switch gears and go from our driver's license, driver solution services to vehicle services. Chairman, it might be a good place if there was questions on the driver's side, maybe to pause, and we could address those now if you'd like, or we could keep going and go through the whole thing.
On the driver's license side, Senator Pittman.
Thank you for this. This is really good information. I was really interested in the Real ID, so those are some good stats out there. I want to bring one issue up. In my area, we have a lot of Vietnam veterans, and one thing that had come up was sometimes the DD-214 has a Indochine or Indochina listed on it, and they were denied a couple of times for Vietnam veteran plates. And so I just would put that out to you to kind of understand that also, you know, if that's listed on the DD-214, that would be something that you'd probably want to educate your folks out there in the field that that's okay for a Vietnam veteran plate. Other than that, I don't have any questions really. I just wanted to make that quick comment and make sure I got that out there.
Any response from Peter, or just something to look into? Oh, for plates, you said, Senator?
That's the Vietnam veteran plates.
Oh, okay. Absolutely. Okay.
And Indochina, basically, if they were stationed in Cambodia or Thailand in support of the Vietnam operations, that would be just fine.
Okay, yeah, that'd be something we'll need to work with our treasurers on and educate them. We'll put that on our agenda for our call with them this month.
All right, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Senator Hawk.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think you mentioned this, and I wasn't listening as carefully as I should have. On your visiting kansasrevenue.org to make an appointment for all locations, is the Q-Flow doing that online?
Yes, it's available online for 11 offices. So those are our 11 largest offices across the state. The other one, it lists a phone number, and then they call that office to schedule the time. So we are looking, we have an RFP out to expand that service to more offices, but currently it's for the 11 largest offices that have it online.
But and I'm looking at Riley County, my county, if it's Q-Flow, you can't call and make an appointment. You have to do it online?
If you're struggling, I mean, absolutely, you can call anytime. The online service is available, but you could call as well if that's someone's preference, and we can, and our staff will help them schedule that appointment.
And then I know you can get your license at the Riley County Treasurer's office also.
Yes.
Can you do that on Q-Flow, or do you have to do the Riley County Treasurer's office?
The appointment system, the Q-Flow, is only for our state offices, so her system would be different. Her appointment system would be different.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that. Appreciate it. Thank
Sure.
you, Mr. Chairman.
David, does any of your partnership offices, your one in Lawrence or West Wichita, are they open on a Saturday or weekend?
Currently, they're not. They're manned by our people, but we've had that conversation with them, and I think if we, as I said, it's a pilot now, and if it proves successful and we go look into doing this more of a permanent situation, I think that's something we'll want to look into. Currently, I think it's Tuesday, Thursdays, I believe. It's a couple of days a week only during regular hours.
Hey, thank you. Senator Bowers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, David, for the shout out to Concordia. You let me know when you're having your ribbon cutting, and I'll make sure I'm there with some friends. I do have a comment, though, where you had mentioned the online renewal, that you would like our help as legislators. If you could pull together a paragraph for us for our newsletters, that would be really helpful, what you want the public to know, and we can spread that word for you. I know you've done that with the Real ID, and that was very helpful. I think perhaps people are confused about how to get started, so if you spell out exactly what you want, then we can get that out to our people with our newsletters and newspaper articles, David. I think that would help us a lot.
That'd be great. We'd appreciate that. We will certainly do that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any further questions? Seeing none, you can continue on.
Okay, I'm gonna turn over to Deanne and let her discuss with you the vehicle services side.
Good morning. Thanks for letting us come, and we're excited to be here with you today. Vehicle services, we actually have 3 different business units within the vehicle services realm. That is titles and registration, commercial and interstate commercial vehicles, and then we have the dealers group. So together, we put together some figures and some numbers, and there are a few stats that I might point out to you on dealers. Our dealer numbers were down just a little bit last year, but not much. This year they're looking very good. And on the commercial, which is our intrastate vehicles, those are the vehicles that have the purple and white tag that say power on it. Our numbers were down just a little bit, but if we go down a little bit further, we're going to show you that actual monies have increased for those vehicle registrations. And the commercial, and we have intrastate commercial vehicles, and then we have the interstate commercial vehicles that are, the interstate is called IRP, which is the International Registration Plan. And those are for the vehicles that travel across the state lines. And what we've got is for total registration and CMV collection, that is your first bullet there. It shows that we're $10 million ahead on 2020 collections from where we were in 2019, even though those numbers were a little bit lower in vehicle registration. And as we go across there, I just bring
We lost your volume.
distributed out to the counties. Can you hear us now?
We still can't hear you right now.
Yeah.
Can you hear us now?
You can. Your microphone keeps showing that it's muted, unmuted, on and off.
Can you hear us now?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Well, we'll go ahead and, I don't know, did you hear about the collection where as far as our commercial vehicle collections? That is, we're up $10 million from where we were in 2019. And then just to kind of go across for the rest of this, we had commercial vehicles that we distribute back to the counties, and that was down just a little bit. It was $54,000 down. And then our third party or our county transaction fees that we collected, or that were collected by the counties, that was actually up $140,000 from the year before. And our total CMV collections, and that's the money that comes in that is sent over to the state general fund, that was up $2 million from the year before. And then we collected $390,000 more in sales tax over the last year from 2019 to 2020. And then our money that we send to the highway fund, the registration fees we sent to the highway fund, those were up $16 million from 2019. So even though some of those numbers were a little bit lower, registration fees and then fees that we collect from out-of-state motor carriers coming into the state of Kansas, those actually increased. So that's why those fees have gone up some. And our title and registration, which is the personal vehicles, then registration was up 73,000 in 2020 over 2019. So title numbers were down a little bit, but there we have to, kind of think about, the pandemic and when we were out and vehicles weren't actually being, title work wasn't actually being done during some of that time. So I think that's why some of those numbers are a little bit lower. Okay. And we have the executive order, and that was the 20-66. This is one that we worked on with the county treasurers, and we came up with a way that, as during the pandemic, when people were buying vehicles, but they couldn't get in to register those vehicles, how we could go through and make it so that those folks were able to get the things that they needed to get. And so working with the treasurers and the governor's office, then we came up with, if you bought a vehicle from January 1 to January 31 of 2020, you had until August to get that vehicle registered. And as you see, we have the different dates by the different months. And so by the end of December, everyone should be on a regular 60-day registration cycle. So there should be no more executive orders for the vehicle registration side. David talked earlier about the online mobile application that we have. We work with Pay It on that. There has been a 34% increase over what we did in 2019. So as people renew their vehicles, they can actually go online, very easy to do. And that information goes right in. County treasurers get that information, and then they send your stickers and your registration out to you. And that's done very timely. 2020, we had a new plate, the only plate that we had for the 2020 season. And that was the rental plate that was actually passed during the 2019 legislative session. We worked with Enterprise and came up with something so that they would be able to, any of the new vehicles that they purchase and are ready to send those vehicles out on as someone rents those. They were not able to do that because they had to wait on the plate to come to them in the mail. And so we worked with Enterprise and were able to get it so that they do all the registration. We have trained those folks, and so they come in, they do the registration through our registration system, and they have plates on hand. They have to go through a training session with us, and then they're able to put that plate on the vehicle as they register it. Then they send the title work into our office. In order to be able to do that, they have to register in excess of 250 vehicles a year. So has worked very, very well for Enterprise, all of the different rental companies, and we have about 5 or 6 of those that we work with now on a regular basis. We've got over 8,000 vehicles that we have registered so far with those folks. This is just a little bit, David was talking earlier about the virtual training, and as COVID hit, we knew that we still needed to be able to train our folks, and so our training team very quickly started working on different things that we need to have people be trained in. Whether it's vehicle registration, whether it's driver's license, and they've put together this training. We have launched several different modules, and they're actually ready to release 2 or 3 others. So then it will be complete training, and whether they're back in the classroom, hopefully they'll be able to do that soon. But if not, then the training continues, and we're hoping that is sufficing the different training that is needed by the county treasurers as well as our staff. We're getting very good feedback on it. County treasurers love it. They don't have to send people across the state to do the different trainings. So anyway, that's what we've worked on, and we'll continue to work on a lot of those different training sessions. Now, as far as, that's kind of division of vehicles, the work that we've been doing in a nutshell. But we did have some actual highlights for 2020. We did win 2 national awards from the American Association of Motor Vehicle Administrators. We won the award for Get Real with Real ID. That was a website that talked about how to get your real ID. And so we did win an award for that. And then we won a community award for the Homeless ID pilot project that we work with Topeka Police here in the area. Another huge thing for us was we were the 30th state to implement the state-to-state verification for driver's license. Of course, we partnered with Payit to have a one single mobile application. And that also, it includes the Spanish version of vehicle-related services. Pilot for the ITI project so that you can take your test from home and not your driving test, but I mean your driver's license test. You can take that from home. That will launch very soon. We're very excited about that. And then we have this project just launched the 2nd of March, and that is the Opinionator. It's a service so that you're able to go online and actually do a survey on the customer service when you're at one of the driver's license offices, or as you talk to somebody on the telephone from our call center. And then we also are working with Johnson County and Sedgwick County on some kiosks for vehicle registration on renewals. And we're hoping, Johnson County has had this for several years, and Sedgwick County, hopefully they will be able to launch very, very soon. We've also got Douglas and Shawnee County that are working very closely with them to see how project goes and look at doing that with those counties relatively soon. And here is just information, as we talked earlier, state-to-state verification. That is, we have, as we participate in this, we can make sure that you have one driver's license. So you don't have one in Kansas, one in Oklahoma, one in any other state as your driver's license. As you apply for that, then it goes out, it does a check and make sure that you have one license. And there is our contact information. As David said, Jesse's a great contact if you can't get a hold of any one of us. So, feel free to reach out if there's anything that we can do for you guys. And with that concludes our presentation. Happy to stand for questions.
Questions? Seeing none. Oh, excuse me, Senator Hawk.
I just wanted to make a big deal out of your awards. Congratulations. That's something to get your staff pulled together and get those kinds of recognitions. Very proud of you and of Kansas. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any further questions?
Thank you.
Seeing none, thank you for the presentation. Appreciate it. Look forward to when we can see you in person again.
We do. Us too. Thank you.
With that, committee, we are adjourned.